This is part 2 of our 100% walkthrough for Link to the Past. And what I love about this part is right off the bat, we get the sense for how big this game really was at the time.
And then we also get that theme music for the first time in the game, because last time we were outside, we had the rain going on. But like I said, I remember the first time walking out through here, and the original Zelda was pretty big.
First time,
but I just remember because the pastor, or whatever you want to call him,
the guy
he puts the X on the map of where you're supposed to go next, which I actually kind of like that, because
me too.
I don't like being told where to go, but all throughout the game. But I do like it early on in the game because
it kind of idea.
Yeah, it gives me an idea of what to do next. But I remember looking at that map to see that X and just being like, "Wow, this place is huge."
Speaking of finding out what to do next, we should probably tell you what we do in this part.
Stuff. We collect stuff,
and then we actually explore a good little chunk of the overworld. We're gonna get 4 pieces of heart, a mushroom which will actually turn into magic powder. We're gonna get 2 empty bottles right off the bat, the bug catching net. And we're going to end this part by going actually to the first dungeon of the game.
You say the magic powder too?
Yeah.
Okay.
The mushroom becomes
and magic powder. Okay.
Yeah.
And this Lost Woods right here. Okay.
Oh my gosh.
The theme. I love the theme. Now you brought up an interesting point. Like they actually didn't keep this theme. In throughout the rest of the series, like in Ocarina of Time, they changed it and just. I mean, I do love the Lost Woods that we get in later games, like Ocarina of Time, Twilight Princess, but I kind of wish in a way, I mean, I don't know why they got rid of this one. Then also the fog. The fog looks awesome.
Oh, I love that look. It's just like a very shady, like you can see little patches of sunlight, I guess that is coming through. I just love that we get that transition that's unlike almost any other transition in the game.
It's a weird one. It's like a trippy transition.
It tells you you're...
we got that mushroom now, so it makes perfect sense.
Yeah, now we're tripping.
We're not trading in for magic powder, I can tell you that.
No, they already ate it, actually. But that's kind of why...
This game be a lot better.
Oh my god. We'd never beat it, though.
That's true. That's true. Beat the magic dragon, or what's that South Park episode where...
Oh, we got to catch the... Have you played Heroin Hero?
Yeah, Heroin Hero. That's what I was thinking of.
That's so wrong. But like one thing I do like about this game, and this is something we've complained about in several other Zelda games, how a dungeon item sometimes is like the bomb bag. Or something you have to buy. In this game, you find a treasure chest that happen to have bombs in it, and we've got them.
That is really nice, and it's really a good idea to collect those like as much as you can early on, because surprisingly, you run out of bombs pretty quickly. But I like what you said, there is an upgrade for it throughout the game. And we'll kind of talk about that more when we get there. It's basically, you just pay money to go up a couple levels, and you just keep on doing it. But I agree with you, like right off the bat, and like we say, the rupees. Did we say the rupee max or not?
No.
Yeah, so we get bombs right off the bat, and then I also love that the rupee max is set at the beginning of the game of 999.
Which is great, because actually in this part, right off the bat, we are going to load up on rupees. We're going to spend some of them to buy one of those empty bottles, but only like 100, I think.
That's not very many, but...
No, we'll spend some rupees later on some flippers. But
that's a different story. Yeah, that's definitely true. But, like, you get the Zelda games where rupees aren't very valuable. I think Twilight Princess is kind of like that, and maybe Ocarina of Time. Ocarina of Time, like, you just had an overload of rupees. This game, the rupees are actually kind of valuable. Like, you will max out towards the end and not need them for anything. But throughout the game, you have to buy a lot of stuff that is pretty expensive.
And on top of that, like later on, some potions and things like that will cost rupees that you need near the end.
Yeah, we don't need them.
But no, we don't need them.
You might need them, but...
Now, one thing I love...
Because if we die, we just start the recording over.
That's all we do, We're pretty good at that. One thing I love, Hick, you actually brought this up a little bit, or before we started recording, this room... Right here actually has a look...
The whole house.
Has a look very similar to a dungeon we're going to see much later in the game. And I love it, because there are parallels between this area and that dungeon. We won't spoil it too much, but I just love seeing that right off the bat.
And the sun shining through the window right there. It's another one of those... Yeah, for nowadays, like, gamers nowadays, maybe that it doesn't seem like a big deal.
We're spoiled.
But like back then, like in the 8-bit days, like something so small like that was just so huge. And
it was.
Like we kind of talked about, but I think this game did a lot of those very small things that just really made it stand out and like better.
It did, and that's why I will still go back and replay this game to this day.
I do too.
Not just for a recording, but just for one.
I've bought it 3 or 4 times.
That's a good point. And for one, you can knock it out. Our whole video series for this is only like what,
29 parts.
So it's a relatively quick game compared to today.
I think if you know what you're doing, it's like a 3 to 4 hour game that you can beat in. So it does, like you said, it doesn't take very long. It's actually one of our shorter. Might be the short. No, actually, the original Legend Zelda. The shortest, but like it is very very short, but that's the good thing. Is like it has a lot to it.
Yep.
Like but if you know what you're doing, it still takes you 3 hours to beat, which isn't a long time, but it's enough.
It's a good afternoon's work.
Yes, definitely.
But you mentioned earlier how it was good to get the bombs very early on, and you'll see throughout this part we're actually already bombing some walls.
Yes.
Because we're collecting rupees, we're getting a couple heart pieces already. That you can get later on, but it's nice to go ahead and get those bombs.
When you do 100% walkthrough, that's kind of what you do. As long as you're not going out of your way, you try to get everything that you can. And that little dude's weird right there.
We never talked to him.
Okay, that's what I was actually about ready to ask you if we ever talked to him. I couldn't remember, and I thought there was a way you could maybe catch him, but I don't think so. I could be wrong on that.
Even with the Pegasus shoes, I don't think we can actually catch up to him.
I wonder what his theory is behind that guy.
I wonder why
you can do a theory behind that guy and go like you can go anywhere you want.
I wonder why he didn't spend more time in the bar that we just walked into right there.
That bar was awesome.
It was just a cool little visual to see.
We're probably a little biased towards like bars because we like to have 1 or 2 beers in a given night, maybe a couple more than that, but just
rounding.
Another thing, like at that time, you just didn't expect to walk in and see a bar. Now I know we even had those in like NES games. Like I think Back to the Future actually had a bar or a diner that you went into, but just.
It was cool. It's
the first time in a Zelda game that we saw that.
It does. It just adds to this village. Like it's more than just a few people's houses. It's like there's a place for them to congregate. And later on, of course, we get like the milk bar in both Link Between Worlds and Majora's Mask has the milk bar. You get things like that, but it's just really cool to see here. Even though all we could do was get the empty bottle.
Yes, that's really all I think we do in that whole place. But
which don't get me wrong, empty bottles are a common occurrence for us.
I would rather not have it. I would rather not get an empty bottle. I'd rather get a full bottle.
Yes, absolutely.
But here's my next question: is like, why doesn't Link live in Kakariko Village with his uncle?
That's
like, why does he have this house that's just down in the middle of nowhere? And then also, why is he living with his uncle?
Now, that's a good question. We were too busy in the last part kind of talking about the game as a whole. We didn't talk a whole lot about like the very beginning. Like, Link's living with his uncle.
Yeah.
Which
we never met his parents in any game, so maybe that's why I can't get Zelda. Because, like, just see,
maybe
I'm not going anywhere. It wasn't anywhere bad, but it wasn't. I thought it was going to be funny, and then I realized about halfway through it wasn't.
It just wasn't going to be.
I was thinking, like, the whole meet the parents.
And
trying to play it the way I wanted to, and it wasn't going to happen.
The pieces were there, but we weren't going to get there.
The parental structure is not what what royalty needs in their life.
Well, it is just a weird thing, and like Link's uncle's got like the sword and shield that we got from him very early on.
He's really good with that thing.
Yeah.
Makes it like what? Maybe 100 yards.
He didn't make it very far into
he literally dropped down in the castle and his adventure was done.
He probably dropped down and broke his legs. That's probably what it was. He probably didn't even encounter an enemy.
That's true. That is true. It's a good point. What do you crawl like halfway through that hallway? That is true. A child could probably jump and land easier than an older. Actually, there's no debating that.
No,
that's what happens.
Hey, my knees were a lot better when I was a teenager.
If I jumped right now, I would probably break both of my legs.
Now this is something we're about to...
Sorry. I'd be like Goron in Majora's Mask. That
can't
jump off the 10-foot cliff.
To get the power of rock sirloin.
Yes, so go ahead. I'm sorry.
But no, it's cool. Like right now we're going to slowly be making our way to the Eastern Palace. And I just think that really illustrates like how open this world is for the most part, because Kakariko Village that we just left is all the way on the west side of the map, and the Eastern Palace is all the way on the eastern side of the map. So it's really cool that right from the get-go we can go from one side of the map all the way to the other. I'm a big fan of that. We are going to take a pit stop all the way there.
That's what the original Legend of Zelda had. That's why people like it so much. Zelda 2 did not really have that at all. Like in Zelda 2, you're very like contained early on in the game, and like you said, like for this game, for the most part, we can really just about go anywhere as soon as the game starts. There is a couple of areas that are blocked off.
There's a few like Death Mountain and things like that.
Not like necessarily block. Actually, Death Mountain is blocked off, but for the most part, you can. Explore a large part of the area, which we really like. And
we did.
One of our complaints is in a lot of games, like they hold your hand too much.
They do.
And you're only in one area for like the longest time.
Well, that's one of my big complaints with, like, not to go too far off topic, but like Skyward Sword, for example, like you could only drop down into certain areas once you unlocked them, instead of having one like unifying overworld like we have here. So that's way off topic.
Well, Twilight Princess... Yeah, we never went off topic before.
Never.
If you wonder what I was doing right there, if you go left of screen, it'll actually just reset that magic powder so you can go get it. So, just a little trick right there. But back to Twilight Princess, like, that first area in the forest, I mean, that takes 2 hours.
It does.
Before you even get out of that area. It's just like, oh, God, come on.
I know.
It's just too long. I just, like, in the new Zelda... Actually, the, what's called... The Breath of the Wild.
Yeah.
Oh, I forgot the name. How's about that? But, Breath of the Wild at E3 was this week actually, and like we saw a lot of like how you were just going to be able to go anywhere you want to,
which is a great throwback.
Yeah, right off the bat, like a lot of people just love that, and there's a lot of references, like not like in the style of play.
Yeah.
Like with the original Zelda.
Well, it's like a lot of fan service, which is what I feel like they needed to do. Like just in the original Zelda and in Link to the Past here as we're playing, like we said, we can go so many places. I mean, yeah, we can't necessarily do a lot once we get there.
That is very true,
But so I'm curious to see how they do that with the new Zelda here.
Now, some of these statues right here, I love the statues. Just those also have like some great detail. They do. Once again, for being an 8-bit game.
Well, I like the fact that the Eastern Palace is in this area that is like filled.
That's not West.
Yeah, but it's in this area that's filled with like these. I wouldn't call them ruins, but yeah, like statues and monuments and stuff. It makes you feel like at one point in time, maybe there was inhabitants other than monsters out here in this.
I actually don't know what that place is.
I don't know.
It kind of actually reminds me of the Wind Ruins in Minish Cap.
Oh,
kind of just like that little area that really didn't have that much to it, but like this area's not even. It doesn't even have a name. Like if you look at the areas like in Link to the Past, because I actually did it. For this, sorry, I had to take a breath there.
Take a breath.
But I actually had to do it for this part because I was like, is this actually called a certain areas and not? It has no name to it.
Yeah, and it's just like you said, just like Wind Ruins though, it's got statues and monuments.
I kind of like your whole ruins idea, you know. So
it makes you feel like this used to be like. Well, for one thing, it kind of makes you think of like Gerudo areas where it's just
that is true, kind of desert.
Yeah, just
it has like brown grass. I mean, obviously it doesn't get much rain out here because they're having a hard time with the grass. But
yes, they are.
It kind of does give it that desert look like you're talking about.
Yep. But now that we've made our way all the way out here to the Eastern Palace, we're about to
first dungeon, baby.
And this wraps up part 2 of our 100% walkthrough for Link to the Past.